Well, hello there, fellow pilgrims, members of the Lion's Army, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Welcome on in, welcome on in. I am one pilgrim from One Pilgrim's Musings. We are musing through the Psalms. Today we are on Psalm number 74 of Book 3 of the Psalms. We are utilizing a work by the late Dr. Jack Hyles from out of the state of Indiana in the United States, who wrote a very succinct story behind the Psalms for each and every one of the Psalms. He did a little research, a lot of research actually, to find out who was the actual author in each and every one of the Psalms. Many of those are well known. Some are questioned, and Dr. Jack did a little deep research to see if he could come up with exactly who the author was, and he was successful in most cases. He also tells us a little bit of the story, the context, the timing in Israel's ancient history of the psalm, which kind of gives us a little broader idea of what the psalm was written about, and therefore, many times, how we can use that particular psalm as a template for even our prayer lives and for praise to the Lord when we approach the Father through Christ his Son in prayer. And then Dr. Jack tells us the way that each particular psalm was used in ancient Israel. And sometimes, depending on when they were written, even in ancient Babylon, when Israel was under subjugation to the Babylonians, King Nebuchadnezzar, before they returned under a later king, King Cyrus and King Darius, to begin the rebuilding of the temple. All of this span of time, the Psalms cover everything from King David to the captivity, to the release, to the return to Jerusalem. All of that is covered. And all of the trials and travails of King David and the Israelites through all this time, you can find a psalm in here somewhere for anything going on in your life to help you, as in some cases perhaps even like a Psalm 91 to repeat daily over your family and loved ones. But many of the other psalms, there's pieces of them or even the whole psalm which make a great template. You want to be careful about constantly repeating word for word. But they make a great template for you to build your prayer around, given the specific circumstance that the psalm is addressing. They don't work so much anymore for us as songs because obviously they're translated from the original language, so they don't always flow as a song would in a different language, when it's spoken in a different language. But they are still very poetic, and they are great anchors for our own prayers. So without further ado, to try and keep my posting succinct, let us get on with what Dr. Jack has to say about Psalm number 74. He agrees with what is commonly considered to be the author, Asaph, who was a choir director or worship leader, if you will, under common terminology, in the ancient Jewish temple. And here we read that Asaph was discouraged because of an invasion by Shishak. Now, Shishak was one of the ancient Egyptian pharaohs. And this invasion came after the dividing of the kingdom under Rehoboam. Those of you who are Old Testament scholars, Bereans, remember that Solomon's son did not follow the Lord. And so the Lord took 10 of the kingdoms away from him and gave them to someone else. And he was left with Judah, and I believe it was part of Benjamin. And that was it for a long, long time. There was Israel and there was Judah. It was the two kingdoms. Judah had some good kings. Israel pretty much had bad kings through all the years. Anyway, around the time that this psalm was written, there was an invasion by Shishak, which came after the dividing of the kingdom. In fact, the story of this invasion is to this day on the walls of the temple ruins at Karnak in Egypt. I guess it's written there, perhaps in hieroglyphics. Interesting. The story of this invasion are to this day on the walls of the temple ruins in Karnak in Egypt. Okay. So the Egyptians did a lot of their storytelling right on the walls of their buildings, their temples, their pyramids. They did a lot of their stuff. They carved right into the walls. So the story of this is written right there. And during this invasion, the Pharaoh Shishak took away treasures of gold from the Israelites. And Asaph was very discouraged, therefore, and wrote this psalm. Now, the way this psalm was used by God's people, well, this was one of the psalms that the Jews used when they were discouraged. Makes sense, right? They realized the conditions under which Asaph wrote it, and no doubt realized that God gave it to them to be used in their discouragement. Okay, so let us see just how this reads. I'm kind of interested here myself. Let us see. Psalm number 74. O God, why have you rejected us so long? Why is your anger so intense against the sheep of your own pasture? Remember that we are the people you chose long ago, the tribe you redeemed as your own special possession. And remember Jerusalem, your home here on earth. Walk through the awful ruins of the city and see how the enemy has destroyed your sanctuary. There your enemies shouted their victorious battle cries. There they set up their battle standards. They swung their axes as woodcutters in a forest. With axes and picks, they smashed the carved paneling. They burned your sanctuary to the ground. They defiled the place that bears your name. And then they thought, let's destroy everything. So they burned down all the places where God was worshipped. We no longer see your miraculous signs. All the prophets are gone. And no one can tell us when it will end. How long, O God, will you allow our enemies to insult you? Will you let them dishonor your name forever? Why do you hold back your strong right hand? Unleash your powerful fist and destroy them. You, O God, are my King from ages past. Bring salvation to the earth, O God. You split the sea by your strength and smash the heads of the sea monsters. You crush the heads of Leviathan and let the desert animals eat him. You cause the springs and streams to gush forth, and you dried up rivers that never run dry. Both day and night belong to you. You made the starlight and the sun. You set the boundaries of the earth, and you made both summer and winter. See how these enemies insult you, Lord. foolish nation has dishonored your name. Don't let these wild beasts destroy your turtle doves. Don't let your suffering people suffer forever. Remember your covenant promises, for the land is full of darkness and violence. Don't let the downtrodden be humiliated again. Instead, let the poor and needy praise your name. Arise, O God, defend your cause. Remember how these fools insult you all day long. Don't overlook what your enemies have said, or their growing uproar. Well, indeed. Itchy nose. Woo, that's quite a psalm, isn't it? And that could be a psalm written today. As we too make an appeal daily to heaven for the Lord to rise up. And remember how these fools around us insult him all day long. Keep praying. You're going to be surprised how things play out over the course of 2024. Don't doubt me. More importantly, don't doubt him. Don't turn back. Stay on the wall. Relief is coming. I guarantee. All right. Let me let you go for today. So this is One Pilgrim. See that? Woo! That's not a weird symbol. I'm just bracketing the cross on my shirt for those of you who are a little touched in the head. Everything is not a weird or odd symbol of the enemy. Sometimes we're just trying to draw your attention to something. All right. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face to shine upon you and give you peace, even in the midst of a storm. Remember, I am is the storm. And if you belong to him, you have nothing to fear. False evidence appearing real. Don't believe the false evidence. Instead, enjoy today and make it a fantastic adventure in trusting him. Because we all know, without faith, you cannot please God. This is One Pilgrim. For now, I'm out.